All right, fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes in social media. And my name is Judson Powell. Okay. I've been thinking about this, all the school shootings, the Buffalo school shooting, and then the one that occurred in Texas. I can't pronounce the name of the town, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So anyway, there's like 30 people dead, like in mass shootings in a week and a half. And the similarities of things are starting to make me think like there's like hear me out, like there's like some Manchurian candidate type stuff going on, because I can't believe that this entire thing has no organization. Like there's no connection to these mass shootings. And we've come to find out that all of them have been committed with assault rifles, the AR-15, which has now replaced the AK-47 as the most popular rifle. Okay, now the people that want these guns to stay legal, and I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm old enough to remember when the Clinton administration, so y'all talk bad about the Democrats if you want to, but I remember Clinton tried to ban assault rifles like the AR-15, because let's face it, you don't need an AR-15 to protect your house. You don't need an AR-15 to protect your person. There's no reason for you to have this gun. The only thing that the gun does is what? Kill people. That's all it does. And I think that a lot of people are getting this whole thing twisted. It's not that we don't want people to have guns. We don't want to take away your Second Amendment rights. However, there has to be, just like in the First Amendment, you can't run into a building and yell fire. If you run into the building and yell fire, then you just broke the law. And so people who support the First Amendment don't go, oh, I want to have the right to be able to go in and yell fire in a theater that's not burning, right? Well, this is the same thing. So I'm trying to make a good analogy of how this all breaks down, because it doesn't take away your Second Amendment rights to take away AR-15s and guns of its ilk. And those are the guns that are committing these serious, heinous acts, is the gun of choice. So all of my friends, and I know I'm sorry, and I apologize to people on Facebook, because there was somebody who put on there that we needed new policy. And I kind of was like negative towards that whole policy thing, right? Because I was like, well, we got laws. We have laws in place. And the only other law that I see that would be apropos to this situation would be to ban assault rifles. Assault rifles need to be banned, period. I mean, we got folks walking in killing, and here's the thing about these people. Y'all are a bunch of cowards. All they do is shoot little kids and older people. If you notice, most of the people that have been getting taken out in these crimes, they are either children, or they're people who are elderly, or people that are not, like if you go in like the Dylan Roof thing, you go into a church and kill 9 people, and that people ain't armed and dangerous inside of a church. That's why I say these people are cowards. the whole thing that they're doing is nothing but cowardly. And then the other thing is the other policy. So you know, because I thought about this because I put their little comment down about, oh, you know, you want policy. Well, my explanation was back when I was on the radio in Denver, Colorado, I interviewed skinheads. And so, much to my bosses, you know, my bosses really didn't want me to do it. But I was like, look, man, we got to hear. It's like there's no way that this problem of racism or anything like that can ever be solved if we don't talk. If there's no dialogue, then, you know, whatever. So these skinheads came on my show, and the one thing that I remember, and then it was reiterated to me like years later by a friend of mine that's in the military, and it was related to terrorism, and saying, look, if there is somebody, right, if there is somebody who is willing to die, strap a bomb to their back, strap up and put on military gear and take this AR-15 wherever, and then they're not afraid to die and they're not afraid to kill other people, there's no stopping that. You can't stop that. Now, what could have been stopped at this thing in Texas was the fact that they said that this guy went on the internet and said what he was going to do. Said he was going to kill his grandmother first, and then he was going to go to a school and kill children. And he said this. So, and then the next thing that I hear today, which is very disturbing, because it kind of makes me think, because remember, all of these students basically and teachers were Latino, right? The shooter was Latino. And so I think that they didn't, you know, they were like, I'm not going in there. Let's be honest. They weren't going in there because that wasn't their kids. They didn't go, they didn't rush in there. They said they waited. And in retrospect, now, you know, the police chief is sitting up there, well, in retrospect, we should have gone in and you know, confronted this gunman earlier. Yeah, you freaking right you should have. You know, he don't deserve his job. Why does he still have a job? Why ain't he fired? Why, you know, those are the things that I try to figure out. I'm like, well, man, you derelicted your duties. And I don't want to hear all this other stuff, because guess what? That's your job. People pay you to be the police. Especially when the police go into a school with little children in there. So that's the next thing. Okay, and then here's the other thing. Why is it that most of the Caucasian suspects in these shootings, in these mass shootings, they get brought in alive? And we got, you know, there's memes all over the internet, you know, how these guys are brought in alive and nothing happens to them. But it seems like if the shooter, like this guy in Texas, or if the guy is black, and I'm not saying, you know, but here's the thing, and most of these people are not black, but the Caucasian ones definitely, you know. I think the Las Vegas shooter, he was like one of the only white guys that was killed on the scene, but it was mostly because he was trying to commit suicide by cop. So he really, his whole thing was, I really don't care whether or not I get shot or not. That was his whole thing, because he wanted to die. Once again, which is a component. This suicidal, you know, these guys are suicidal maniacs. But is there something with this whole, you know, my conspiracy theory of the Manchurian Candidate? Is there something that's triggering, that there's a trigger. If y'all ever saw that movie, remember there's either a command or something that triggers these people to do what they do. I can't believe that these are all like independent actions without any type of organization or not really knowing what's going on. And now it seems that they're targeting blacks and Hispanics. So let me flip the script right quick. So when the thing happened with the Asians, and I believe even on Capitol Hill today, they're talking about what? Talking about Asians. And I'm going to tell, and black people, y'all need to, the bottom line is they care about the Asians because Asians are working in the economy with entrepreneurial businesses. So they can't afford to lose the tax dollars that these Asians are bringing in, but they don't look at us that way. They look at us as consumers, not producers. And I tell my children that all the time. Don't be consumers, be producers. It's that simple. Be producers, not consumers. Because the United States of America, the capitalistic system, only cares what? About the producers. That's all they care about. They don't care about your butt. If you ain't putting no money into those tax dollars. See, those tax dollars, that's what keeps everything running. So what do we do? What do we do? What do we do with this problem? And I've been saying for the longest, it's like, man, I don't look at racism anymore. I mean, I realize it exists, but I got to live my life, and you got to live your life. And my whole thing is what? Get paid. F these racists, because and put clamps on them. If they say anything online, people got to start. And the whole thing about this no snitching and all this bull crap, that's bull crap. If a teenager got an assault rifle, you need to tell on his ass. And then I understand that this rifle costs $5,000. Man, my first car didn't even cost $5,000. It's like something that costs $5,000. I got to be able to sit in it and ride around in it for sure. Period. I'm not giving you $5,000 for a rifle to go out and kill people. So everybody, and even if you don't want to violate Second Amendment rights, then what do? Put them on a list. Everybody who buys an AR-15, you on a list, you on a watch list. Because now, just like y'all did with 9/11, we got to have something in place. My friend on Facebook, we got to have some policy in place so that we can prevent this stuff from happening in the future. Because if you think about it, you've got to disassociate yourself from, we have to disassociate these people from these guns. Because they're not using these guns. They're not using these guns for anything else but to commit these mass murders. That's all they're doing. And if you're found with one without the proper licensing and credentials, you need to go to jail. And once you get caught you need to have your weapon forfeited. Anyway, fast 15 minutes is up. F that sheriff for not going in and saving those kids. F you, man.